Hello, beautiful human. I'm Zach, that is Dan, and today we welcome to the studio for the first time ever a powerhouse actor who you will definitely recognize from If Beale Could Talk, Judas and the Black Messiah, Wakanda Forever, and now she is starring in her very own Marvel Universe series as RiRi in Ironheart. Please say hello to Dominique Thorne.
Yo!
Let's do it.
Is this what is your life is nuts, right?
Oh man, my life is nuts. Yes,
I
correct.
Is there any preparation throughout your life so far that at all could have somewhat prepared you for what's been going on? I mean, just is there anything?
Absolutely. I think just years. I genuinely think my life so far, you know what I mean? I don't know if you're ever prepared. I also don't know what I'm preparing for, you know?
Real.
I just got here figuring it out. But I definitely do feel like, yeah, my life to this point has absolutely prepared me for the madness because my life has been insane, you know? Yeah.
Can we just do a quick, I really want to talk Ironheart, obviously,
Yeah.
but I want to do just an understanding of your story, right?
Okay.
Because you're supposed to be a part of the Black Panther universe.
Mm-hmm.
You audition for a role in that in that first original movie. You don't get it.
Yeah.
But then you end up going to school.
Mm-hmm.
And what do you study?
Human development. I got my degree in human development, concentrating on social and personality development.
Okay. Are you bummed when you hear from the casting people or your agents or whoever that you don't get that role?
Kind of, sorta. I spoke about this for the first time. I did this interview with the New York Times. Oh my God.
Casual.
Casual.
The paper of record.
Of my city. And that was the first time I spoke about it. I knew I wasn't going to get that role. Before I left the hotel that I was staying in, I heard it. You're not getting this, you know? And so when it was confirmed, it was oh yeah, trust yourself, Dominique, word, you know? Because, I feel like we've all met people who kind of have that knowing. They're just really locked in with their intuition. And I strive to be like that. I'm still working on it for sure. But that was definitely a moment in the journey that just reminded me oh yeah, you know a thing or two, you know? There is a source you're connected to because I heard it at the time. And so then when I really didn't get it, I was oh, the mission is clarifying itself, you know?
See, it's that awareness. But how do you know when to trust your intuition and when not to? Because is that a skill that is learned?
Through experience. I think that's a skill that's learned through experience. I'm definitely still, honing it for sure. But yeah, I think you learn to trust your intuition from the moments where you don't. And life smacks you, smacks you seated, you know? And then you kind of have no choice but to lean in and trust yourself, you know?
So did you know before that audition you weren't going to get it?
No, I was so excited.
So it was afterwards?
Yeah, for sure. I was so excited, but I was also so nervous, and you do your best. I definitely remember doing my best to kind of channel all of that into the work, the scene, let's do it. Seem like I'm having fun and calm and cool and collected. But it was insane. That was my first time meeting Ryan Coogler. And I was a huge fan.
He's amazing.
He's insane. Casually. Yeah, Chadwick as well. Rest his soul. And also I was super curious or excited about the possibility of not having to finish my degree. So that was motivation as well.
You really didn't want to finish?
Oh man, it was so intense. I mean, I did. I knew I wanted to go to college, but if I had to leave to be in the MCU, I wouldn't have minded, wouldn't have minded that.
What pushed you into that major to begin with?
Oh gosh, I actually got accepted for something totally different. I applied for and was accepted for the policy analysis and management major to focus on immigration legislation.
Wow.
Because my parents are immigrants and that was my life up to that point. I just never understood the system ever at all. And by the time it was, apply to colleges and stuff, I was like, ooh, I just spent 4 years acting and I loved it. Definitely want to continue. Maybe I should spend another 4 years doing something else I'm interested in, like exploring another interest. And I'm grateful to have had teachers that were like life experiences, acting experience. And so I didn't feel any major guilt or shame at the time about not, going to conservatory or something like that. DACA had also come out past not too long before I had to make that college decision. So it was top of mind for me. And so that's what I was accepted for. And that's what I was studying for like the first year and a half. But the program was going through some changes at the time. And there was a phenomenal professor that was kind of like the flagpole of the immigration department. But ultimately, I think it just wasn't fleshed out enough for me to really sink my teeth into it in the ways that I wanted to. And I just wasn't comfortable with, I don't know, like taking someone's life. It was just a lot of research-based work, which is cool and fine. And that was still the case when I switched my major later. But this was like turning people's quality of life into a number, to plug it into a formula, to write like a 40-page motion on why this will actually, the cost-benefit analysis of doing something that's going to benefit people's lives. And that work is essential. Like it really, really is. And it definitely showed me, it gave me answers that, that I was looking for about the system. It showed me why it's important to have people who genuinely care about the well-being of people in our country involved at that level, because just the way that you position their experiences when you are collecting your data, the people you include when you go out to seek this data, all of that clarity, light bulbs. I definitely got some answers, but I just didn't feel comfortable committing to 4 years of that, far more like a lifetime. So right around sophomore years when I switched, stayed in the same college, but just to a different department, which is the human development, social and personality development concentration in that college. And that was a much better fit because now we're focusing on the quality of life and how that came to be. So a person's environment, their family, the circumstances, everything that led to them being who they are and how that affects their life from infancy to gerontology. And that to me felt a lot more connected to the human experience, which is ultimately what I'm interested in.
And because that's literally what it is. It's understanding the context in which people live and exist. It's understanding literally everything from start to finish and then seeing where it overlaps, because there's more things that we share than are different.
Precisely.
And with that, you can make actual change.
Exactly.
How do you break down a character then? What is your technique when finding who this person or entity is?
Yeah, it's definitely, to that point, it absolutely is the environment. I think that's, before we get to the point of having, rehearsal, if that's on the table, or chatting with the director or your castmates or whatever it is, I think for me, it really is in that first comb through, it's like going through and seeing what the script tells me about this girl. I had this one teacher who used to encourage us to go through and look for everything that other folks are saying about her, everything that's said about the character that's not coming from their POV as like information, which again leads back to, they talk about like these, I forget the term at this point, it's been a while, but there's like all these circles of separation from the individual, and like directly outside of you, you might have your parents, and then maybe a layer outside of that is like your church or your school, and then outside of that is the government, and it just continues to go out. So I think that definitely falls in line with like that frame of mind, for example,
Very fascinating.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, when did you realize you actually knew RiRi? Is there like a moment where you actually come to terms with the fact that like you are this thing when they hit roll?
At the premiere?
Real?
Oh man, I think I had a different level of like, oh, wow. When we walked into the theater, El Capitan, and we walked past concessions and the Ironheart like thing is above the screens instead of like popcorn, nachos. It's Ironheart. That blew me away because I love going to the movies. That's my favorite thing to do, like alone, That's my favorite solo activity, is to go to the movies. So seeing that was like a real personal, wow, this is real. Yeah, that was cool.
By the way, your outfit was amazing.
Thank you.
You looked incredible.
Gorgeous Vietnamese designer, Phan Hue. So beautiful.
How did you land the role of RiRi in the first place?
It was that Wakanda Forever audition back when I was a sophomore, junior in college. I remember Seraphin from casting, talking to me about my time in college and just relating about her time and being super encouraging about the fact that I was doing that and regardless, just kind of saying, no matter what happens, stay on your journey, see it through. And then when I got the call, what I'd heard was similar to that, which is they think you're great, you're wonderful, would love to work with you in the future, but you just need a little bit more experience. And so fast forward to getting my first film screen credit with Beale Street in 2018, junior-ish year. And then Judas, and it was she got the experience. So in 2020, I got the phone call where they explained that they want to introduce the character of RiRi Wiliams with this series coming out on Disney Plus now. But they wanted to introduce her in Wakanda Forever and asked if I would play her. Yeah.
Okay. It's very interesting. You needed a little, but it's so wild though. They needed you to get a little bit more experience. Mm-hmm. Beale Street ends up changing your life, right? Mm-hmm. And by the way, it's a huge movie. It's also iconic, right?
Barry Jenkins, oh my goodness.
Yeah, it has very
James Baldwin, oh my goodness.
Historic ties, also representing Memphis. There's a lot of layers there.
Yeah.
It's so wild that you just took one to get you a huge series that would again,
flabbergasted.
Yeah, but you see how it all works out, right?
Yeah, truly.
It worked out the way it needed to.
Exactly. And I really do think the timing is insane because now here we are. So we shot that. I got the call 2020. We shot it 2022. Pause for so many reasons, the industry and whatnot. Fast forward 3 years later.
Crazy.
After the film's already shot and ready to go, it comes out. And it comes out in this time where it feels like it was almost made for this time. So many conversations that we're having in the film about tech and AI and how it, meshes or connects with our humanity. All of those themes in the show that we're seeing reflected right now. Again, confirmation that the timing is always right on time. Yeah.
So it starts with Wakanda Forever. That's where you're first introduced. Mm-hmm. And then you make your way into, obviously, Ironheart. Can you just explain for someone who doesn't know, which really, I have knowledge and understanding of the Marvel Universe, the X-Men universe, the whole thing. But where does Ironheart fit in all of it?
Yeah. 2-part question. Very exciting for the second part, but a big TBD. The first thing that I can say to kind of drop us into the series is in Wakanda Forever, we meet her in the midst of her MIT career, which isn't the most traditional and not probably what we would expect, especially on the heels of seeing Tony Stark and his MIT legacy. When we meet RiRi Wiliams, she is hustling these students, her fellow students. She's doing homework, she's completing assignments for a little extra cash on the side so that she can focus on what she's actually interested in, which is building this suit and working on a couple other things. The Wakandans show up and RiRi kind of learns that this is more than just tinkering she's doing on the side. Her dreaming, her potential, her brilliance, the things that interest her and her passion projects actually could and did have larger implications for the world and the universe around her. She's introduced to a whole new world, a species of people that she didn't even know existed, far more knew of her existence. And for those of us who saw Wakanda Forever, we saw that had some pretty, final implications. We lost Queen Ramonda. The Wakandans had a lot of rebuilding to do. And so now RiRi's kind of forced, when we see her in the series, she's forced to go back home and also kind of forced to reckon with all of it. She's forced to really sit with what it means to have this type of potential and capacity for greatness. And does she have any interest in this superhero mantle? What does that look like on her? So she's asking herself a lot of tough questions, whether she wants to or not, for the sake of getting back to really just getting it all out of the way so she can get back to the thing that she wants to do, which is to continue to build incredible technology and have a lasting impact on her community.
And that's where the series kind of kicks off, right? And she is a genius, but she's also grieving.
Yeah.
Right? She's navigating power. She's figuring out who she is in real time.
Yeah.
What aspects of her felt the most personal, but also like maybe surprising to you as you really stepped into her shoes?
Oh, man. The grief, for sure. Oh, man. Yeah, it's crazy. But without getting too sentimental, because I sure did at the premiere. Sorry. But on Wakanda Forever, I got really, really close, just coming into this brand new world, and got super close to my hairstylist, Marva Stokes, and my makeup artist, AJ Crimson. And sadly, before we could get to the filming of Ironheart, AJ passed away. So suddenly, so randomly, confused to this day.
I'm sorry.
And this was the first time that I had met someone who impacted me in such a way that I'm like, oh, like we should and we could go on this journey together, like putting makeup artists in your contract so that they're locked in, that type of thing that actors do as they continue to grow in their career. And AJ was the first person that I did that with. Okay, great, locked in to the Ironheart contract, let's do this. I got some support, and he passes. In the midst of him doing so many great, incredible, beautiful things with his own beauty brand and whatnot. And so going into the filming of this series was wildly, personally charged for me in a way that I was not anticipating. This was the first time that I was entering into the television episodic format. I'm still relatively new to the film space. I started in theater, took a left turn, and now I'm here.
It's different.
Oh, it's so different. I'm in the MCU. This is my first time being number one on the call sheet. The one thing I did not foresee was being so incredibly seen by this beautiful human being who would just be taken away for reasons that I will never understand. And to think that you have a 19-year-old who just caused someone to lose their mother not too long ago, is worried about the safety of her own mother, lost her stepfather, her best friend, randomly, suddenly. And now you need to be a hero, girl. Come on. That's what the world is asking of you. It's too much. And RiRi is kind of just like, I know what I want to do, and this isn't it. How did I end up here? But of course, she understands the need and the necessity because of the fact that she lost those people who were so close to her and so meaningful to her life, to something as senseless as drive-by. And so we see her in that first episode she starts to list I can do all of these incredible things with this technology. Just give me the chance, just let me do it. But even within herself, looking for that permission from all of these sources and all of these people with resources outside of herself, before she can even really begin to do that, she has to first acknowledge the hurt and the loss, the hole in her little iron heart, from losing those people who meant so much to her. And we see her battle with acknowledging that force its way into the conversation. Literally by the end of, I think, episode 1, it's like, hey, I'm here, deal with it. And that caught me off guard, dealing with that grief in real time, as we're shooting, as we're filming, just the dichotomy, I guess, but also it being one and the same.
Right? The similarities are glaring.
Exactly.
Obviously not to a T, but
exactly.
How much of that are you drawing on in your actual performance?
I do try to because if I were to tap on that, we wouldn't get anything done. We would not get anything done. We really would not. But at least the feeling, and I think those of us who have unfortunately had to become intimately connected to that feeling that grief brings once it introduces itself into our life. It's a presence that you can't get rid of, that you may not want to get rid of, but it's something that's real and tangible, even if it's never spoken about or acknowledged. And I think in this series, there are many moments where we're pushing RiRi to acknowledge it and to speak on it. And so I think just knowing like that there is so much more that this girl has to comb through before she can even get to the circumstances in front of her. I think just carrying that knowing with me was what I drew from understanding the fact that her potential in this universe is, to this point, it's unbounded. We don't know where it could go. Yeah. There's so many possibilities. And so the one thing that I felt like I could do was lean into the honesty and the truth of where she is, right now.
Is there anything about her that changes the way that you think about strength and vulnerability?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely respect, you kind of said it earlier, her dealing with it and figuring everything out in real time. Like, it's a strength and a weakness. And I anticipate RiRi making quite a few people pretty upset with that. It seems almost, I don't know, like almost innate. Like she can't help but she's very present, very in the moment with a lot of things, for better or worse. And I don't know how much of that is within her control. But
we kept talking about like a moral gray area in which she really exists in.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
I think so. I think so for sure. I think she's figuring it out. Yeah.
Is there any part of her character that you wish you had more of?
That I wish I had more of. I don't know how much I can say. Say it one more time.
You have a big brain, but like
she does. She does.
But you have a big. I don't. You speak Greek. I didn't know that.
A little bit, just a little bit.
So weird. You went to a Greek Orthodox school.
Yeah, my Greek now is so bad. Like I can probably say like 3 things great, and that's about it. I can write it still, read it a little bit.
Interesting. So random.
I know.
Like out of all the things that I thought I'd read in your fact sheet? Like what?
Yeah, literally.
Anyway, back to her. Is there any part of her that you wish you had more of?
I think there's some bits and pieces of her backstory that would be really cool to lean into, depending on where she goes, and especially considering, that moral gray area and the fact that it isn't so clearly defined, and also the fact that our show in particular is introducing so much just for the larger MCU, the MCU at large. I think there's so many avenues that she could take, and I think it would be really cool to connect some of that back to her backstory. Yeah,
we should talk about that. Can we bring Kelsey in?
Kelsey,
is that okay?
Yep, gotta get the camera set up.
Oh wait, are we not ready? I mean, oh, it's okay. We don't need to do it if she's not ready, because I wanted to. You just touched on something else, because it does introduce a lot of stuff into the MCU, correct?
Yeah, sure does.
Like and there's names that like I want to get into that I don't fully know all the names. Yeah. But
Carlos, come over here now.
While you do that, I want to keep talking. Back to the moral complexities and like really the moral gray areas of which that she like kind of like existed in. How did you approach those complexities? Like, were there aspects of her choices or her mindset that you just maybe connected to personally, or that made you reflect on your own values in a new way?
I wouldn't say that made me reflect on my own values. I think, I don't know. I do try to keep it pretty locked down, like put myself in the back seat. But definitely try to go in with a bit of understanding, like what could drive this young girl to make this decision? Like what feels honest, what feels true? And I think, of course, without casting too much judgment. And I think a lot of it, at least, in the first 3 episodes, is a combination of fear, exhaustion, that grief we're talking about that just won't leave her alone, frustration at the fact that she's been trying so hard to get something that she knows she deserves and that everyone she seems to bump into is reminding her that she deserves, but why don't you have it? Like that whole storm of annoyance, I think kind of helps to clarify why she might be pushed to do a certain thing or not do a certain thing in a moment, you know? Just being overstimulated sometimes, you know?
She's dealing with a lot.
She's dealing with a lot. My gosh.
Can I ask a question as a person who knows not much about superheroes in the MCU?
Let's go.
Ironheart and Iron Man. What's the correlation, or is there none? They just have iron in the name.
You know, RiRi says pretty early on, and the episodes are out. Oh my gosh, so I guess I can talk about it.
You can talk about it now. Yeah, the episode dropped last night.
All on Disney Plus, by the way. Link below.
Come on. But she says very early out the gate, you know, she could have built 1,000 other things, but nobody would care. People are obsessed with those iron suits. And this is a girl who does not have the access or the resources that she knows she needs to do what she knows she can do. And what she wants to see out in the world, what she knows that the world around her needs at the very least. And so it's like, okay, she is she's a hustler in essence, you know? And we saw a little bit of that in Wakanda Forever. And so at the end of the day, she's going to do what she needs to do to actualize, to get these plans in motion. And building an iron suit is the quickest way to get that sort of respect and access that she needs.
You have a relationship with Robert Downey Jr. because
Yes.
like a part of this is like a passing of the suit to a certain degree.
Yeah, it's insane. I guess so. Dang. Yeah, when you say it like that, Zach.
It's real.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So what is your relationship like with him, and what have you learned about
With Robert?
all of it? Like, I mean, he has to be giving you just gems.
He's my bestie, Zach. Oh my gosh.
What a
I
thing to
love
say.
him. He loves me. It's great. He FaceTimed me the other day. Truly just to, you know, wish luck. We were chatting a bit about the first 3 episodes he got to watch, and it was really, really just stilling to the mind to hear him kind of read the whole setup. Not read it for filth, but, you know, colloquially read it for filth. Like he understood everything. He's like, oh, I see that you had to balance this with that and you needed to set up this, and just going through all of the points and really just identifying the arc, the structure that we need to get established in episode 1 for everything that's coming later. And that felt like, oh my God, like a breath of fresh air, like, you know, like almost like a weight off my shoulders I didn't even know I was carrying, just to hear someone else acknowledge and identify the load, the lift that, you know, the setup kind of takes. And that's something that only the person who set up
The whole thing.
the MCU could really understand, you know? And of course, you know, my lift in the series is much smaller. But again, that whole Iron Mantle, the introduction of a new character and also a new way of doing things, a new tone, a new sound, a new style, all of that he just gets and he understands and he's excited for it. And that's really encouraging. Yeah.
Validating.
Yeah, you know? Big fan over here. Oh my gosh, you know? I gotta like keep it cool, but big fan.
Have you felt the responsibility of this whole thing and like what it genuinely means to be a part of the MCU yet?
In what way? How do you mean?
I mean, there is a responsibility, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's one, fandom and lore that goes back
Yes.
quite literally decades.
Yes.
2, there's a bunch of young kids
Yeah.
from all different walks of life, every different corner of the globe,
Yeah.
tuning into something like this.
Yeah.
And there is responsibility overall of just being a superhero to a certain degree,
Mm.
right? Whether like people like accept it or not, it does exist,
Yeah.
at least a little bit.
Absolutely. Sure does exist, for sure. And I think ultimately I'm definitely trying to straddle, or not even trying. This is the thing. I'm just kind of like showing up and we'll see how it goes, you know? That's my plan of action. But I do absolutely feel that connection to the fandom, number one, just from coming from a family of Marvel lovers, Marvel loyalists, you know? My dad's first words to me when I told him I got the job were, "Don't mess it up." Okay? He's not one of these new Avengers. What is that? Get it? Duh, you know?
Wait, that's so amazing.
So it's the truth. So I get that and I understand that and I feel it and have felt it before. So I'm with y'all, you know, I get it. And then also I think the kids truly, like, just thinking about what it would have felt like for me to have had a RiRi Wiliams mixed into, you know, the young Black girls that were representing for us at the time that I was, you know, young and watching TV. That is kind of ultimately what kind of led me to saying yes too, you know, because it's like, oh man, like just what it could mean, and what it could do simply by existing in this canon is so special. And I'm reminded of that when we go to these schools, these elementary schools, these colleges, or we went to a museum, the Museum of Science and Industry, and sat with these girls in STEM that are a part of the museum's program, and just seeing the hope like on their faces for these careers that they want to have and these lives that they want to build, and these interests that they've just started to really develop a passion and a hunger for. Right, it just so happens that they're in this program right as this show is coming out, and how special that is, you know. So yeah, I have a lot of respect for that, for sure. Yeah,
I mean, there's eventually it's going to get to a point where Kelsey and I go to Disneyland and we go to Adventures.
California Adventure.
California Adventure, but there's
the
like
Marvel campus.
we go to the Marvel campus and RiRi Wiliams will be there.
The RiRi ride.
That's real stuff though.
I would love to do that. My favorite ride is the Guardians of the Galaxy ride in Florida.
Well, you want a ride, but like at least you're probably gonna have a character.
Yeah,
There's gonna be a RiRi Wiliams that we can take photos with.
That'd be insane. That's wild.
It is wild.
Yeah.
By the way, the whole team that has brought this whole thing to life is incredibly iconic and groundbreaking, right? Like the Black female human beings that are running the ship.
Yeah.
Has never been done.
Yeah.
Also, there's never been a superhero in the Marvel Universe that looks like you before.
Yeah. Isn't that insane?
It seems really crazy that it's 2025 and this
and I'm the first.
Well, that like we're having this
wild.
discussion, even down to like having a team of Black creators, creatives leading the charge behind the camera.
Yeah.
Right? Because the director, the screenwriter, they're
executive producers, hair and makeup, like through and through. Absolutely. Someone was asking me the other day, like, you know, what did it feel like to have to advocate for, you know, this character's representation on screen? I'm like, man, by the time the conversation even got to me, it had to go through several steps, several Black women throughout, you know, the life experience who have a deep and personal investment in an accurate, respectful, but also daring representation of this girl. So by the time that I get there, I get to actually do what they brought me here to do, which is to make choices and act and play around and have fun, you know?
Yeah, you're in the safest position to do that because they've carried the burden.
They've done a lot of it, yeah.
It's crazy.
Exactly. And also so open and willing to collaborate and hear me out and invite my voice and my perspective into the conversation. Like, it really was. I really do commend Marvel for empowering the people who this story is intended for to be a part of the crafting and the telling of the story. I really, really do.
Real.
I really do.
All right, let's get into the real Marvel fan facts of this whole thing. Kelsey, there's an introduction of a character that is on the way. Or has it happened already?
It had
final three episodes.
Yeah. Final 3 episodes.
People over here have watched the 6.
Okay.
Kelsey is.
To be clear, I don't think this is coming out until after the 6
This
are
is
out.
coming out after?
Everything
After
will
all
be
6.
out.
Yeah.
So we can say the name.
Let's do this.
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Mephisto.
Mephisto. That's his name?
Yeah.
I only really know him from the X-Men universe. So it's interesting to see him crossing into the Marvel universe. So can you break this down for me, please?
I feel like I want to hear Kelsey's breakdown of all of this.
Well, Mephisto's like the devil, and he's like a very big Marvel villain. Especially, I'm a big comic book nerd.
Yeah,
so.
let's go, Kelsey.
So he's a big part in a lot of comics. There's a lot of multiverse things happening right now that he plays a part in. So, you know, a lot of people are feeling, you know, this might lead into the introduction of the X-Men and like all of that. This is something that a lot of people have been begging for since WandaVision. It's been like an ongoing thing of like, when's Mephisto showing up? When's Mephisto showing up? So this was a big reveal. And
why is Mephisto the guy that is like, why does he signal the introduction of the X-Men?
I think that's just because he's like, that's what he's closely related to. He also is like very involved in like mutants, which is what the X-Men are. And like I think the reason why fans like love him as a villain is because he is the devil. And so he is like evil incarnate. basically.
Dominique?
That's what RiRi's going through, right? Like, I mean, that's like the cloak. That's all over Anthony Ramos. Like, it's a whole thing.
You know, I have my own hopes and dreams for Ms. RiRi Wiliams.
And they are?
I would love to see her. I would love to see them lean into the X-Men of it all. I really would. Wouldn't we all love that? I think we would all love that, you know? I really, really would. I think there's also some really cool stuff, again, just with her backstory and her family life that I would love to see kind of mix and really meld with all of this. But this gray area that they have introduced RiRi in, I mean, in the first 3 episodes, she's already like fucking shit up. You know what I mean? She's already like causing a headache. Like, dang, RiRi, get it, keep it together. You know what I mean? Like, your AI won't even listen to you. What's happening? You know what I mean? Like, do we like her or not? You know? So by the end, when Mephisto is here and sitting, RiRi having a face-to-face conversation with Mephisto scares me. Do you know what I mean? What will this lead to? You're giving this girl who is on this journey, who has so many questions, who doesn't even know how to begin to process everything that has happened, far more to truly answer it in a way that serves the world, you know? She's still working on doing the necessary work of serving her own hurt and whatever and dealing with that, you know? So I'm very intrigued. I really, really am. And of course, I know nothing about what is actually going to happen next, but I'm right there with folks about wanting to know, you know, the X-Men of it all.
Because it ends with Mephisto.
Yeah.
What else are you thinking? What
Has
else
it been
are you
hard to keep
wondering?
that a secret? Sacha Baron Cohen, Mephisto.
You know, they make it pretty easy by not telling you shit. I found out who was playing him when we were shooting the scene.
Really?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes.
So you walked on set and you're like, oh.
Hey. Yeah, literally.
Very
Exactly.
nice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, insane. But
What was it like shooting those scenes when you finally got there?
oh God, it was crazy. It was also really fun, you know, like, oh, we're doing something spicy right now, you know? Like, oh, this is crazy. And Sacha Baron Cohen is insane. He's wild, you know? He's such a trip. And like, you don't know what he's going to throw at you. You don't know what he's going to try, which I love, you know? It makes it fresh. And I think that's exactly what you want for an ending like that, you know? To really land the plane, you know? Yeah.
What is the process like? Like, how, when are you getting scripts? Are you shooting more than one episode at a time?
Oh
Like,
gosh.
what's the flow?
I'm trying to remember.
Because this was years ago.
This was years ago.
That's weird too.
Gosh, that is weird. Yeah. We definitely jumped around a bit because I remember there were days where we'd have like multiple hair changes to straddle the episodes. But yeah, like we would get rewrites. I think, you know, Chinaka did a really good job about making sure that we were as prepared as reasonably possible. Also very flexible with like changing things in the moment should we desire that. But yeah, we would get updates and changes and rewrites, you know, throughout the process, today for tomorrow or day of, or you show up today and it's a little different. Things have been tweaked, you know, which par for the course, I think. Yeah.
Kind of how it goes.
Yeah. But
What else are you thinking, Kels?
I think I just have like nerdy questions, but
I hope I can answer them.
no, it's I'm not. You'll be able to answer. They're fun, but I mean, we have Doomsday, Secret Wars coming up.
Yeah.
A lot of multiverse stuff. Yeah. Is there like an Avengers character that you would that's not like a superhero that's not Ironheart that you would want like RiRi to become in a different universe?
Her to become?
Wow.
I mean, we see Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom, which is crazy.
Right. Oh, God. Why did the first thing that popped into my mind was The Watcher?
Okay.
Why did that come into my mind? I think that would be crazy
That's
if
so
RiRi
sick.
Wiliams becomes The Watcher. Talk about, you know, navigating power.
Are you given like a Bible? Like when
What
you
do you
first
mean,
join the MCU to like understand all of
I
it?
was thinking
Or
the
do you
same
just
thing.
need to like self-educate?
You gotta self-educate. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Immersion therapy.
So they like, okay, you have to like jump in the pool yourself and
For
learn
real,
how to swim.
for sure, yeah. I started with the Invincible Iron Man comics, and just finding all the issues where RiRi pops up, reading those, then going to the bar and Michael Bendis and e-viewing, really get my RiRi on. Yeah. Also the Ta-Nehisi Coates Black Panther comics as well. Yeah.
So you went right to the original text.
Yeah. The MCU Bible.
What else are you thinking?
Let's see.
Okay.
Well, I mean, I'm a big Young Avengers fan, and
Are
we've kind
you?
of gotten hints on all of this.
Okay.
I know RiRi technically isn't a Young Avenger, but it feels
Right.
like she could be.
Right.
Is there a certain new character that's been introduced since Endgame that you would love to work with?
Wait, what are the Young Avengers?
I was just gonna kind of lean into that. I keep hearing that people are talking about, she's not technically a Young Avenger, but she could be, and really wanting to group her in there. Why do you think that is, Kelsey?
Because the Young Avengers are just young and fun, and
Uh-huh.
that's what RiRi is.
And RiRi's
That's
young
why I
and
like those comics.
RiRi is young and turnt. You heard it here first.
Young, wild, free?
Yeah, that's the point of the Young Avengers is exactly what kind of RiRi embodies. It's these young kids who have the weight of the world of being a hero, and they're figuring life out as it goes.
Okay, right.
And so I think that's why of course now with the MCU and everyone they're introducing, I loop her in there because that's just she fits right in.
Yeah. Nice. Was worried I was missing something. I like that.
What was it like working with Chadwick Boseman? Because your
Wow.
screen test is online.
Yeah.
Is that weird?
Yeah. Yeah, guys. I get it, but dang, I was so young. Oh man, it was insane. Very humbling too, In the moment, I just remember thinking, wow, this is a literal king. That's crazy, Genuinely, he has that presence. So yeah, definitely, another battery in the back to make sure, and also just a reminder, another wake up call on your presence, because man, what a presence, And that was very, very, very inspiring, I think, to have experienced at that point in my journey,
How about somebody like Ryan Coogler? What have you learned from working around him?
To lock in and lean into the craft, do what you know, and trust that you know it, he was super encouraging, especially as a director. You were here for a reason, you were casted for a reason. And even if he doesn't directly say that, I think the choices that he allows you to make and the things he allows you to figure out
Proves it.
Yeah, it really does prove it. It empowers you in that way. Yeah.
How proud are your parents of you?
Oh,
They have to be, right?
yeah, they are. I think they also had a bit of a whoa moment at the premiere just this past Monday. They're like, wow, you really did this. That's crazy.
I mean, what was their initial thought when you were like, I want to go to a performing arts school?
Oh God, my mother cried.
Right? Because let's talk about it.
Mom.
But let's give context, right?
Yeah.
The sacrifice that they all made to come here
Exactly.
and to set up a life, and you go, I want to do the
Think I
arts.
shall. Yeah.
Have you heard of Shakespeare?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to try that.
Precisely. Actually, literally that. Yeah. Just wanting to make sure that, your kid is doing something that's going to set them up to lead a stable, happy existence and being nervous,
Acting really doesn't fall into any of that, really. Happy, yes. Stable,
Yeah.
if you're,
Yeah. If you're, But
even the luckiest of actors, it's not stable.
yeah, at all, and that's also just a whole other muscle to work, But yeah, I think my dad, though, he was always super supportive. He's like, yeah, whatever you want to do, unless it's join the MCU, then don't enter with caution.
Don't mess it up.
Don't mess it up. But yeah, my dad was super, super encouraging. And it was really my grandfather, my mom's father, who kind of eased her, her concerns and encouraged her to trust me for a change, I had always, leaned into my parents' advice. And so he was kind of like, let her do it. She does everything you ask. Back up, And I think by the time my dad said it was the first play that they had come to see, that really was the first time they saw me act at all. So I understand. Like, here's your kid saying they want to do this thing and you don't even know. You've never done this before. What are you talking about, I used to, back in the day when they used to have these like casting calls and auditions over the radio for like, be a Disney kid.
Are you kidding?
Be a Nick kid.
I grew up in New Jersey, so I used to hear those same commercials.
Exactly.
They'd be like, "Can your kid dance? Does your kid dream about being on Disney Channel?"
Yeah. Exactly.
Come on over to the mall. Come to the mall this weekend.
Exactly. Precisely
Come to the mall in Tom's River or Staten Island.
It was my dad and I in the car every weekend. Let's go, And they were reminding me of this. Like, we would make it pretty far, but it's always when it came time for them to collect that check, like wanting us to pay some crazy amount of money for something. We're
That's
like,
how you knew.
Scam.
Yeah, don't got that. And so I think when they finally did see me do like the first performance I ever did in my life, in high school at the Professional Performing Arts School, that's when my dad still says to this day he thinks that's my best performance. Like that will always be the one for him.
What was your role?
I played Puck in A Midsummer Night's Dream.
Wow, okay.
Shakespeare. And it was incredible. It was like they turned the whole first two floors of the school into the theater, like, found space type of vibe.
We love an immersive theater experience.
Exactly.
I've been to Found No More.
Hello.
Or Sleep No More shit.
Yes.
Found No More.
I know what you meant. So
Thank you for getting it.
Puck was the guide, running all around and doing all these things. So it wasn't until they saw that I think they were kind of like, okay, there's something here. And then in 2015 was a pretty big year for me and my parents, really getting that kind of like peace of mind that like, oh, this might be something real. Yeah.
Well, proud of you. The journey just continues.
Thank you.
Excited to watch you rise.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Thank you.
Like, excited to watch
that.
RiRi rise too.
Yeah, me too.
Because her story is just beginning.
It is. Isn't that crazy? I think that's so cool. Yeah.
It's a needed character.
Yeah.
Vital story. Final thoughts?
Are you someone who goes online and looks up what people are saying, or do you try to stay off?
Not at all.
Smart.
Yeah, no. Whenever I do see things, it's purely like it's unintentional, and I'm just like, don't see that. I was just looking for, But again, par for the course. Yeah.
It does come with the territory.
I suppose.
It means people care.
Oh.
Come on.
And that's how we got to look at it.
Mm-hmm.
That. Final thoughts, Kelsey?
I think I'm all good.
You good?
Yeah.
Well,
Nice.
you got to watch it. Ironheart, it's waiting for you. It's all on Disney Plus. There's a link below. Click, click, click. Thanks for hanging out today.
Thanks for having me.
You're very, very special.
This is awesome.
Please come back.
You're special, Zach. Thank you.
Please.
This is incredible. 18 years. You got Reptar on the desk. That's how I know it's real.
I do.
That's how I know he's real.
I do have a vintage Reptar on the desk.
A real one.
Dominique Thorne, everybody.